Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the Nutrition 101 series. So the last episode in this series, I took a deep dive and talked all about gut health and exactly what gut health is. And I had so many questions from you guys asking about probiotics and if I could recommend a good one or just talk about, how to look for a good one. So I figured why not just kind of do a follow-up to the last episode and talk about probiotics. So if you have watched the gut health video already, you already know that gut health is super important and just very intricate and interesting. And you also probably already know that probiotics are actually just strains of bacteria that are also occurring naturally or occur naturally in our GI system. And like I said, a healthy gut is super important, and one of the main constituents of having a healthy gut is having a really diverse, happy gut flora. So there are two different ways that you can support those healthy bacteria down there in your gut. And the first one is to eat fermented foods. Like 50, 100 years ago, our grandmas and great grandmas were big on fermented foods. They were a staple in everyone's diet. And over time, we've just kind of they've just kind of lost their place in our typical standard diet. So no one really, well, not no one, but people just don't eat them nearly as much as they used to. So some fermented foods could be drinking kombucha, it's technically a drink, or kimchi or sauerkraut. These are all things that are fermented. Also yogurt is a huge one, kefir, however you say it. Those are all foods that are fermented and therefore are full of this healthy bacteria. So when we consume them, those bacteria end up down in our gut, which is a good thing. And then also the other major option to support, healthy gut flora is to take a probiotic supplement. So by taking a probiotic supplement, you're literally just taking like a capsule or whatever form it comes in of living, alive, healthy bacteria. So same thing, you're consuming them, they're getting down into your gut, and then they can kind of help to not only maybe repopulate, but also just like change the dynamic and the types of strains that you have in your gut bacteria, which it can definitely be a good thing. So I'm definitely a huge proponent of eating fermented foods if you can, but also probiotics are a good option as well. So how do you pick a good one? So there are so many probiotics out there, it can be very overwhelming. So I just want to share with you guys just the tips that I'm aware of when it comes to, looking at all the options out there and trying to pick the one that's best for you. So first things first, you want that probiotic to have multiple strains in it, because the more diverse our healthy bacteria is in our gut, the better off we're going to be. So you want to make sure there's at least 5 to 10 strains in there. You want like a nice, like I said, diverse probiotic supplement. But also there are two strains that are the most highly researched. There is like the most research done on them, and that is Lactobacillus as well as Bifidobacterium. So while you definitely want multiple strains in any probiotic that you would choose, you also definitely want to make sure that those two are in there, just because we know for sure, based on research, that they can be effective. The second thing that you want to look at is CFU, which stands for colony forming units. So that's basically the amount of little bacteria that you can consume via that supplement, and they can go on to then form their own colony of bacteria, because that's what we want. We want thriving, diverse, colonizing bacteria down in our gut, because that is what's going to be, make our gut the happiest and also the healthiest. So when you go and look at probiotics on the shelf, you will see all different kinds of crazy high number ranges when it comes to the CFU. So honestly, based on my research, it's kind of hard to recommend the perfect range, because it really does depend person to person what's going to work best for them, because everyone's gut looks very different. But also I will say that just because it's like the highest number, like a super high number of CFU, doesn't necessarily mean that it's better, but if I had to pick a general average range that would be a good range to look for when you're looking for probiotics, I would say 5 to 15 billion CFU is a good range based on the research that I've done. The third thing you want to look at is the actual strain of bacteria itself. So earlier I told you definitely want to have multiple strains within that one supplement, and also looking for ones that have both Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium are a good place to start, but it's not necessarily that straightforward, and I will kind of tell you why. So when you're looking at a probiotic supplement, when it's listing off the strains, every strain has not only a genus, but a species as well as a strain designation. And all of these different specific strains, while they're all supporting a healthy gut, they all kind of do slightly different things. So depending on what you maybe struggle with or what you are looking for in a probiotic, you may want to just do a little bit of extra research to make sure that you're getting a probiotic that has the strains that would be the best tailored to you. For example, Bifidobacterium infantis 35624, so that is genus, species, as well as strain designation. That specific strain can be really great for helping with bloating and cramps and diarrhea, whereas another strain such as Lactobacillus acidophilus CL1285, that's a mouthful, is better for helping with diarrhea associated to antibiotic use. And these claims are just based on the research studies that we have to go off of to date. Okay, so far we want to make sure that we've got multiple strains in there. A CFU around 5 to 15 billion would be good. And then also want to make sure that we're picking strains that are probably going to be the best for our specific needs. And then there are also some other considerations as well. One thing to look out for is to see if the bottles have the USP symbol on there, which USP stands for United States Pharmacopoeia, I think is how you say that. And this basically just means that that specific probiotic brand allows third-party testing to evaluate and test their product. Another thing to be aware of, which is I guess kind of obvious, but it can be easy to forget since a lot of times they come in pill form, and that is that the bacteria in there are living. So we want to make sure that we're being, taking the proper precautions to preserve those living bacteria as much as possible, because of course they are living and therefore can die off before we even consume them, and consuming dead bacteria does not help our gut. They have to be living. So my biggest tip here is just to look at the bottle and follow the specific instructions that that brand is, providing you with as far as how to store them and just basically how to best preserve them, because it's probably going to differ between bottle to bottle. And then another thing to note, even though it might be hard to find your perfect probiotic, it might take some trial and error, but even after all of that, it's a good idea to also rotate your probiotics, because like I said, diversity as far as your gut flora goes is a good thing. So if you are switching out your probiotics and kind of rotating them, you're always ensuring that you're getting different strains, throughout the year or whatever. So it's just going to help boost up that diversity and support your gut in the best way possible. And then there is just one more thing I wanted to note. So obviously probiotics, you can walk into the store and buy them, or you can just order them online. You don't necessarily have to be prescribed probiotics, and they are generally safe to consume for most people. However, there are certain populations or people that it may not be a good idea. It is always a good idea, no matter who you are, to check with your doctor before you start taking anything, or your dietitian. But people with suppressed immune systems, like specifically people who are going through cancer treatment, it may not be a good idea to be introducing like billions of bacteria into the body, even if they are quote unquote good bacteria. So just wanted to make sure I threw that out there. And then since we are talking about probiotics in this video, I just wanted to also touch on prebiotics. And basically, okay, so probiotics are your good bacteria. It's a way for us to consume the good bacteria that naturally occurs in our gut as well, so we can add to it and diversify it and support it that way. But there are also prebiotics, which basically are like the food that that bacteria can eat, and therefore help them to thrive, and therefore promote greater colonies of thriving bacteria. Now you can purchase prebiotics in supplement form, but when I think of prebiotics, I specifically pretty much just think of food. So there are certain foods that have what are called fructooligosaccharides, and they're basically carbohydrates that aren't necessarily going to be digested down, and therefore the bacteria can then feed off of them within the gut. So some examples could be bananas, onions, garlic, leeks, artichokes, even like whole wheat products. You can look it up to see like a whole list of what foods have fructooligosaccharides. But basically these can be food for the bacteria down there. So it's kind of, if you're going to be consuming foods that are fermented and therefore have that gut bacteria, a way to have or create like food synergy that really works hand in hand together would be to pair one of the foods that contain prebiotics with one of the foods that contain probiotics. How cool is that? So for example, you could do some yogurt with bananas on top. That would be a way to create that synergy and provide your body with a natural form of both prebiotics and probiotics to supplement or help promote a healthy gut. So that is it for today's video. I hope that you guys found it helpful. I know that I had so many questions on this, so I hope that this was able to answer your questions and kind of push you guys in the right direction if you are considering getting a probiotic supplement, you know, how to pick one that is going to be good for you. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you are enjoying my videos. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram so we can hang out on there as well. But that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.